What's up, Tesla family? It's Ray J back with another video, and in this one, I want to break down something with Tesla SPY and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down something with the market moving forward as we have some bullish catalysts for Tesla and new earnings that just came out. But let me just mention that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please smash the like button. It not only benefits me, it benefits the entire community as a whole. So Tesla's right now trying to push upwards. It's up about 1.23% in the pre-market session thus far. And we're going to be looking at this 225 area as a very, very key resistance. So we'll have to see how Tesla performs around here. But so far, it's doing a pretty good job, and the chart does remain bullish. So it's doing a great job at pushing, but I'll be watching this key level just to be safe. So some big news came out. The European Union has slashed planned tariffs on Chinese made Tesla EVs and other Chinese firms. This is some big news for them. That's once again very, very important, at least for Tesla. And Tesla would now face duties of about 9% on imports to the EU, which is down from what was anticipated to be around 20.8%, according to the European Commission. So that is good news for them that's come out. Once again, the tariffs are going to be cut to about 9% from 20.8%. And that's going to once again help them with competition and other factors like that. They're also going to, get a lot more support when it comes to their growth and such. And with this growing, this will help improve demand, at least in the European area. So this will help them with their prices in a lot of different ways. So I think this is pretty good news for them. This was a very, very big decision, and that's part of why Tesla is up in the pre-market. It could even push even more if we break past key resistance levels. There's also some news coming out about the Tesla mega factory that's in China. Construction is done by about 50%. Why is this important? It's because this is going to help increase their supply and capacity of the mega pack batteries by about 40 gigawatt hours worth of energy storage. And that's great news because this will help them in a lot of different ways to bring in a lot more revenue and also with a lot of different sectors of growth. It's also going to help power a lot of homes in Shanghai, China for over a year. So great news for Tesla getting that growth together and continuing to construct their mega factory. So they're about halfway done with it. That's great news. On top of this, when it comes to the way the market's moving, today is Tuesday, August 20th, 2024. Just notes that at 10:30 a.m., we have the New York Fed Treasury purchases. Very minor data, might not cause much. Then we have some bill auctions and then a bunch of Fed speakers like Bostic and Barr at 1:35 and then 2:45 p.m. Once again, it's very minor, nothing too crazy comes out in terms of data. The market thinks there's about a 73% chance we get a 25 basis point cut now. Most likely, we're going to get that in about a 50%. A 50 basis point cut has about a 26.5% probability. That's all we're seeing, at least for the time being. For earnings, like I said, we have a lot of retail coming out. We just had Lowe's announce their earnings, which they didn't do too well. They actually had to cut their full year outlook because they're seeing that home improvement sales are weakening, and then that sector is slowing down for them. EPS was a nice beat. Revenue was a little bit below expectations, and their overall guidance was not the best. So that's part of why the share price is down. So as far as Tesla goes, I'm basically going to be watching this key level right here. So watch this 225 area. We're going to be watching to see if Tesla could hold this. If we hold above 225, if we manage to break past the 225s, our next target is going to take us all the way up to about 227. And the next target above that is going to be in this 230 area to fill this imbalance. Those are going to be your resistance levels on Tesla. If we lose our support at 225, look for 222.5 as our support, this 222 area. If that breaks, look for 220. Now, as of right now, we are pushing very, very nicely, but I can see there's tough resistance in this 225 area. We'll see if Tesla could break this. We're already up to my target from yesterday. I did call out 225 was likely coming. And from a technical standpoint, we look bullish as we're making higher lows, and Tesla's trying to form a nice cup here. So I presume it's going to try to get very close to this 230 area, try to finish forming this nice little cup. So I favor upside. I think there's a good chance Tesla will try to push even more, especially after the European Union has this big news that came out. So this does favor upside. But for confirmation, watch and see if we can break the 225s. And that's going to be your signal that, yes, this thing is going to be pushing higher. We're still at 225.63, so we're close to getting above that. So give it some time. But I think this cup will likely fill. And I think there is more upside potential. But just note that when it comes to like entering Tesla for like a long position, you could try a scalp, but just know that the main entry was already here from like yesterday, even like last week when I was calling this out. So it's up to you guys, but just know we still look bullish nonetheless. Looking at other tickers, we actually have SPY. SPY is pushing right now. One thing worth mentioning is the fact that we've pushed all the way up to this resistance at 560. So we're going to be watching this tough resistance. If we break 560, SPY is going to go up to 562. If we can't break 560, we could retrace back down to 556. So just be careful, guys. We're going to be hitting some tough resistance up here, and we'll see what kind of reaction we get on SPY. Are we about to form a temporary top again? A little bit of a dip right here back down to like 556, if not 553, or do we break 560 and start pushing for 562? Watch that level just to be safe. I am seeing that resistance is kind of tough up here, and there is a risk of us actually coming down a little bit. There is a risk of us retesting 556 because of that. So it's very tough resistance at 560. Will we get a temporary dip and then bounce later on, or will we just kind of dip through that? We'll have to wait and see. But I just want to say that resistance is going to be tough on SPY, and we'll see if we get a little bit of a dip back down to 556 or not. There is a risk of that if we can't break 560, so be very mindful of that. Nvidia has a similar setup. We hit this resistance. I called this out yesterday that we could be fluctuating between 130 and 132, and we'll see if we get a little bit of a dip from there. I'd be looking at 127 as our supports. If that does not hold, you'd be looking for basically the 124 area. So if 132 breaks, we'd be looking for a push for 135. And if we fail to break 130 to 132, look for a dip back down to 127. I presume that resistance is going to be kind of tough, and we might see a little dip on Nvidia back down to like the 127, 125 area. So I am leaning a little bit more in that direction. We did push higher to get to about 130, but now we might see a little bit of a dip. So just be mindful of that. Bitcoin is pushing. We're actually at resistance, but be careful here because we're testing the 200 EMA. We did reject off this 3 times. If we do get the rejection, we're going to be looking for 59,500 as support. For ES, for those who are interested, we got a nice push up to about 5640. So just under the 5650 target I had, just a little bit under that. It looks like it might turn here. So I'm a little concerned we might be retesting 5600. We might see a little dip on ES. This could drag SPY down, so just be careful. We need to break past 5650 to remain bullish. If we can't break them, we might retest 5600. So just want to keep that in the back of my mind. For the QQQ, we were looking very bullish yesterday. We're still trying to hit this resistance. We went a little higher to about 482 yesterday. That was the resistance we called out. If we break 482, look for 485. And if we don't break 482, we could be looking for a dip back down towards 475. So be careful, guys. This looks like it's fighting some tough resistance. If we lose 480, we're at risk of coming back down to this gap fill down to about 476. And we could be coming back down to some balance, but then we could bounce again later on after hitting 475. So it looks like the market may cool off just a little bit before we continue higher. For Apple's the same thing essentially. This resistance at 227 is kind of tough. I said we might retest this, and that's what we're essentially doing. So we'll see if Apple, retraces back down to 223 before it tries to bounce higher if we break through this. So watch for that very carefully. For the IWM, we're currently green right now. We're at 215.45. But look at resistance near 216. We came very close to filling the gap. We might come close to 216. But watch and see what kind of reaction we get once we fill the gap. So we're pushing a little bit higher, like we predicted yesterday. But watch and see what happens if we fill this gap. If we fill the gap, will we come back down to 213? Or will we break past 216? I think we might go a little higher to closer to 216. Then we'll see if we get a little temporary dip. I'd be looking at 213 as critical support, so I'll be watching that very carefully. For Amazon, we pushed up to 178. We haven't been able to break past that resistance quite nicely just yet. So we'll see if we retest this trend line and then try to bounce again. If we do see a little dip, I'd be looking for 170, the 175 to 176 area support. We have to break 180 to remain bullish. Will we dip to 176 and bounce and try to break 180, or will the opposite happen? I'll be waiting to see. For Meta, we kind of have a head and shoulders like structure that's developing. We need to break past 530 and 534 to turn back up. If we start dipping, look at 520 as our key support, so 526 and 520. If 520 fails us, we're dipping down to 514. This could be a head and shoulders, so just be careful with Meta. We're seeing some tough resistance. For Microsoft, we have a double top leg structure. If we break 425, we remain bullish, and if we end up losing 418, we could turn back down. With this double top that's forming, there is a risk of us retesting 417. And then for Google, we pushed very nicely, remaining bullish. We came just under 170. That's going to be a resistance to watch for. If we reclaim 170, we're going up to 172. And if we can't do so, we could be retracing back down to about 166. And we'll see if we get a bounce off that. So I'd be watching that very carefully just to see if we do get a retracement. So it's looking to me like the market's pushed quite a bit to tough resistance, and we'll have to see what kind of reaction we get. Tesla still looks bullish, but I'm warning everyone to be careful at this 225 area. I'm hoping Tesla just breaks through this and continues to go straight up to 230. We just get the move done with. If it does, and if it does get a negative reaction, then we could see like kind of like the handle already starting to form with the cup and handle. But nonetheless, the chart is still bullish no matter which way we go. So just be careful, guys. I want to give you guys a heads up about this. We had this very nice bullish catalyst that helped us to push up to 225, and we'll see if we could break through that or not. I'm hoping we do break the 225s, try to form this cup. If not, the handle could already start to form. So watch the supports I called out. With that being said, thank you for listening. Watch the 225 area on Tesla to see what kind of move we get from there. I'll see you guys again in just a couple of hours for another update. Thank you for listening, and peace out.